trombone. My friend Henry Higgins is the trombonist. He's a recent graduate of ECSU, now pursuing a master's degree at Northern Illinois University, and we played several recitals in the past and have really enjoyed putting together this program. And we hope that you will enjoy it too. The first piece is the sonata by Benedetto Marcello. Born in Venice, Italy, he was a contemporary of a better-known composer, Antonio Vivaldi, and his style is very similar. He was a member of a noble Venetian family, and his father wanted him to study law. However, he also studied music and managed to combine a life in law and public service with composition. An interesting side note, on 20th May 1727, he married his singing student, Rosanna Scaffi, in a secret ceremony. However, as a nobleman, his marriage to a commoner was unlawful. After his death, the marriage was declared null by the state. Rosanna was unable to inherit his estate and filed suit in 1742 against Benedetto's brother Alessandro, who was also a composer, seeking financial support. This piece is an example of the sonata di chiesa, or church sonata, a form very popular during the 16 and 1700s. It was composed for either one or two solo instruments and keyboard in 4 movements, slow, fast, slow, fast. Of course, there were no trombones in the early 1700s, music is based on Finnish nature and folklore. And although he wrote 7 symphonies, which are still frequently played, as well as a number of other compositions, but although he lived until 1967, for the last 30 years of his life, he lived as a recluse and refused to even talk about his music. It's a lovely piece, though, so I hope you'll enjoy it. showing some unusual tone colors on the organ, staccato technique on the trombone, and incorporates the third and fourth phrases of the hymn tune. Finally, the toccata in the jetta merges trombone melodies with toccata-style figurations in the organ, and the full hymn tune, though rhythmically altered, is finally heard in the second half of the toccata. This piece is a bear.
thumbnail. Yeah, I'm gonna put on YouTube.
No, don't do that.
Why not?
No, it was bad. No.
Oh, how do you think you did though?
10? Probably a 7.
See you later, man.
Oh, man.